Now let's move on to environment from the month of May. The first topic we need to cover is artificial water groundwater recharge project in Tamil Nadu. Now the government is planning to implement the pilot project, that is pilot artificial groundwater recharge project in Tamil Nadu. This project has been launched by the Ministry of Jal Shakti in collaboration with Netherlands. Now this project is to be implemented in the Doab region of Aranyar and Kotalyar rivers in Tamil Nadu. Under this project, the groundwater is to be recharged using treated water. Now this is going to be the first of its kind project in the world. Let's look at the water situation in India. According to a 2018 estimate by Niti Aayog, approximately 600 million people in India face high to extreme water stress, and about 2 lakh people die every year owing to inadequate supply of safe water. Now, Niti Aayog has projected that by 2030, India's water demand will be twice the supply available. Now, let's move on to the second topic, which is impact of climate change on cyclones. Now, a study has been published in the Science Advanced, estimating the impact of climate change on cyclones. The key findings of the study is that cyclones could become fiercer and more frequent due to climate change, and the count of cyclones could double by 2050 from the current 80 to 100 annually. Now, there will be opposite impact on the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. That is to say that in the Bay of Bengal, the cyclones will reduce in frequency and will increase in the Arabian Sea. A possible explanation for this is that there is a shift in the cyclone formation regions toward the Indian and Sri Lankan landmasses. Now, the shift is likely to cause the cyclones to make landfall sooner, and it is going to shorten the time that is needed to intensify the tropical cyclones. Also, the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology Pune has observed a 52% increase in the frequency of cyclonic storms over the Arabian Sea between 2001 and 2019. At the same time, it has observed a 8% decrease over the Bay of Bengal. Now let's move on to the third topic, which is the State of Forest Report 2022. Now it has been released by UN Food and Agriculture Organization, that is FAO. Now let's look at the key highlights from the report. India and China could emerge as the biggest hotspot for new zoonotic viral diseases. It also says that the loss of forest has been declining, but it is still at 10 million hectares per year. Now, forest covers 31% of the Earth's land masses, which is to say 4.06 billion hectares. Now, there has been a rise in the infectious diseases linked to forest. Also, 30% of new diseases reported since 1960 can be attributed to deforestation and land use change. There has been a rise in poverty. That is, 124 million more people fell into extreme poverty after COVID-19. Now, forests are crucial for mitigating climate change. That is to say that forests contain 662 billion tons of carbon, which is more than half the global carbon stock in soil and vegetation. The consumption of natural resources is expected to double from the present 92 billion tons in 2017 to 190 billion tons in 2060. The reason is that the world population is projected to reach 9.7 billion people by 2050. Now, dependence on forest. The world's gross domestic production, which is currently at 84.4 trillion in 2020, depends moderately, that is to say 31 trillion US dollars, or highly, that is to say 13 trillion US dollars on the ecosystem services, including those provided by forest. Now let's look at some of the recommendations of the project. The report has recommended 3 interrelated pathways to achieve green recovery and tackling the environment crisis. These are halting deforestation and maintaining forests, restoring degraded lands and expanding agroforestry, sustainably using forests and building green value chains. Also, we need to increase funding. That is to say a 3-fold increase by 2030, and by 2050, maintaining the forests and establishing it could cost $203 billion every year. Now, supporting the local producer organizations and protecting land tenure rights are also crucial for allowing small communities and indigenous groups to continue sustainably managing their forests. Now, let's move on to the fourth topic, which is Global Annual to Decadal Climate Update by WMO. Now, the World Meteorological Organization, that is WMO, has released the Global Annual to Decadal Climate Update report. Some of the key findings of the report are: temperature is reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius. There is a 50-50 chance of the annual average temperature temporarily reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level for at least one of the next 5 years. Now, there is a 93% likelihood that at least one of the years between 2022 and 2026 becoming the warmest year on record and dislodging 2016 from the top ranking year. Now, La Nina has been continuing and it has a cooling effect on the global temperatures, but this is only temporary and it is not going to reverse the long-term global warming trend. Now, for India, the year 2022 will be cooler compared to the 1991 and 2020 average, along with Alaska and Canada. The primary reason for this lowering of temperature is possible increase in rainfall activity in this decade. Now, IMD has also said that the Indian monsoon will soon enter the positive epoch after remaining under a negative epoch since 1917. Now, let's move on to the fifth topic, which is new gas plant in Andaman and Nicobar Island. Now, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has approved gas power plants to be set up in Andaman and Nicobar Island. Now, in 2019, the Government of India had notified island coastal zone regulations and certain coastal stretches such as coastal regulation zones and imposed restrictions on setting up and expanding industries. Now, in 2021, National Coastal Zone Management Authority recommended amending ICRZ rules to allow gas-based power plants within the island coastal regulation zone area, only in those islands where the area is greater than 100 square kilometers. Now, this was needed to meet the energy requirements of the islanders, reducing dependence on highly polluting sources such as conventional diesel generators. Now, the government has amended the ICRZ rules now. Gas power plant in Andaman. Now, a 50 megawatt liquefied natural gas, that is LNG based power project, will be commissioned at Hopetown, Port Blair. It is going to be a dual fuel power plant that runs both on diesel and LNG. The plant will be developed by NTPC. Now, these plants are necessary and are in line with the policy pushed by Niti Aayog, and it is part of the plan to make Greater Andaman region or the southernmost stretch of the island to be developed through projects like transshipment ports, parallel to the coast mass rapid transportation system, and free trade zones and warehousing complex. Now let's move on to the sixth topic, which is Parliamentary Committee report on amendments to Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill. Now the Wildlife Protection Bill provided for the creation of a standing committee of state boards for wildlife. Now the Parliamentary Committee suggests that one-third of the non-official members of SPWL and at least 3 institutional members and the director of Wildlife Institute of India or his nominee should be included. On the human-animal conflict part, the bill has not addressed the issue, and the Parliamentary Committee recommends for the formation of a Human-Animal Conflict Advisory Committee. The committee is to be headed by the Chief Wildlife Warden. Let's move on to the seventh topic, which is regulation on noise pollution. There has been an ongoing controversy regarding the use of loudspeakers at religious places. It is contended that the use of loudspeakers at high volume contribute to noise pollution. Now, Section 2 Subclause A of the Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act of 1981 includes noise in the definition of air pollutant. Now, air pollution and its sources are regulated under the Noise Pollution Regulation and Control Rules of 2000 and under the Environment Protection Act of 1986. The Act has defined acceptable noise levels, silent zone, restrictions on the use of loudspeakers, horns, sound-emitting construction equipments, and bursting of crackers. Now, acceptable levels of noise in residential, commercial, industrial, and silent zones are different. They are also different for the day and the night. The maximum allowed limit is of 75 decibels, and that too in industrial zones. In residential zones, a noise limit of 55 decibels during the day and 45 during the night has been permitted. Now, rules regarding the use of loudspeaker is that the noise at the boundary of the public place where the loudspeaker or any other noise source is shall not exceed 10 decibel above the ambient noise standard, which means it should not exceed 55 plus 10, that is to say 65 or 75 decibels, whichever is lower. Now, the rules also states that loudspeaker or public address systems shall not be used except after obtaining written permission from the designated authority. However, the state government can provide exemptions to these rules on account of any cultural or religious festive occasions and limited duration, not exceeding 15 days in all during a calendar year. Now, let's move on to the eighth topic, which is the State of World's Bird Report. Now, this is an annual review of environmental resources. It is released by a partnership of 10 government and non-government organizations. The key findings of the report are 48% of the existing bird species worldwide are known or suspected to be undergoing population decline. More threatened bird species are found in tropical, that is to say 86.4% of the tropical bird species are threatened. Now, in India, of the surveyed bird species, nearly 80% are declining in number and almost 50% plummeting strongly. Now, the reasons for this decline of bird species is the human influence factor, such as loss and degradation of habitat, change in land use, overexploitation, and climate change. Some of the recommendations given by the report are conducting a reliable estimate of population abundance, novel and more effective solutions applied at the scale for demand reduction of overharvested wild birds, monitoring green energy transitions that can impact birds if inappropriately implemented. Example, windmills. Eradication of pollution, populations of invasive alien species, and shifting human society to economically sustainable development pathway. Now let's move on to this ninth topic, which is use of green manures. The government of Punjab is promoting the cultivation of green manure by providing a subsidy on the seeds at the rate of 2,000 per quintal. Now, green manures are crops which are grown specifically for maintaining the soil fertility and structure. They are normally incorporated back into the soil either directly or after removal and composting. There are 3 main varieties of green manure, including daincha, cowpea, and sun hemp. Some crops such as summer moon, mashed pulses, gore also act as green manure. The condition is that they must be leguminous in nature and also bear maximum nodes on its root. It is obtained in 2 ways, that is by growing green manure crops or collecting leaves along with the twigs from the plants in the wasteland and forest. Some of the benefits of green manure is that it enhances the organic matter in the soil, it meets the deficiency of micronutrients, reduces the consumption of inorganic fertilizer, and conserves nutrients, adds nitrogen, stabilizes the soil structure. Now it decomposes rapidly and liberates large quantity of carbon dioxide and weak acids, which act on insoluble soil minerals to release nutrients for the plant. Now, green manure in case of Punjab is needed because the fertilizer consumption is around per hectare 244 kilogram. It is one of the highest in the country, and green manure can control this consumption by 25 to 30%. It can have huge impact on the input cost for the farmers. Moreover, pH level of the soil in several parts of the Punjab is more than 8.5. Green manure can help reduce the alkalinity of the soil, which is to say the acids are going to react with the alkalines and going to make it neutral.